Hola, bom dia. Carl Monson here with the Good Morning Portugal live stream YouTube channel and podcast. What's on your mind today? And I am asking the right question, I think, when I say como está, much more formal and proper than tudo bem, apparently, according to our top correspondent, Gordianus, whose comments on YouTube are hilarious. Check them out. They're getting better and better, actually. He's getting bolder and bolder in his response to our output. And he seemed to think that being vegetarian that was what we covered yesterday, being vegetarian or vegan in Portugal was something of a blasphemy or a heresy. Keep them coming, Gordianus. Yeah, so what's on your mind today? It's very newsy for me today, things that I want to share with you. We've been a bit light on guests so far this week, but we'll see what we can do about that. As you know, and this may sound boring now, but I have been moving, and we haven't had as many guests as we might have. Let me put it that way. So quite a focus on the news, and I wanted to tell you a little bit more about where I'm living, because I didn't expect to be living here in my move to Portugal, my expat explorer mission adventure with the family. We've ended up somewhere really nice that we really like, but had no idea that this would be the place. I couldn't have guessed this. I couldn't have guessed this. And I think that's sometimes how it goes. Some people pick a place, they go to it, and that's all. That's it. Some people never find it, it would seem. Just keep moving. And actually, I wonder where Claire and Steve are today. That's what was on my mind as I was just sat here for a moment before the show. I wonder where Claire and Steve are today. So I'm sure they'll tell us about their current position on their tour of Portugal. But for me, I did have an idea that I would be in central Portugal, but not in the town or very close on the edge of the town of Anadia in the Aveiro district. But very suitable it is for our needs because our family's changed a little bit. We've had a young and born here, which has changed the game with 3 kids. And this really suits our needs, it would seem. And we found ourselves in a nice place that we've just recently moved into. So let me tell you more about that after the news. Looking at the news first, then today, on the day, it looks like Julie Marsh is celebrating her birthday. Parabéns to you, Julie. I hope you have a super, super day and that they all spoil you over there in Fundão today. 30 degrees to look for. Actually, let me tell you what the weather's going to be like where you are today, birthday girl. 37 degrees you've got to look forward to, and similar temperatures throughout the week. Perhaps not as hot, but certainly mid-30s. All the way, and a little bit of cloud coming at the beginning of next week. So far in the forecast in the Castelo Branco district. In the capital today, 19 at the moment, rising to 30, and a sunny week ahead. Porto, 19 also to start the day, but 25 to look forward to, a bit cooler than the capital. Coimbra, closest principal point to where we live here, 17 degrees at the moment, and it does look muted and actually blessedly cool out there. I've got the window open and I've popped out, stuck my head out the door, and it's nice and cool outside. Currently it's 17 or thereabouts. Although in the studio here, what's it saying in the studio? 20, yeah, getting on for 25 already inside the building, and 33 to look forward to. But thank goodness I'm not still moving boxes. Faro, the weather, 28 to look forward to today, starting with 23 at the moment. So there you go. There's a quick look at the weather. And I want to give you a quick look at the town where I live. Again, always difficult for the podcast as well. And I have to paint pictures with words for you, obviously. But let's say hello to a few people before we do that. Good morning from sunny Fundão, celebrating my birthday today. Yeah, we do wish you all the best for a super day, Julie. And yeah, they need to look after you, the Marsh family, and give you all that you require. Now, today is your day to be princessy or queen-like and have every one of your needs met. Tell them I told them so. Okay, have a great day. Parabéns to you. And I hope they're singing Parabéns a você, Parabéns a você. If they don't, I will keep doing that. Bon dia, Carl. We're parked up by the side of the Douro River. Long river, long story, Claire and Steve. I think a slightly shorter message than usual. A bit tired? Has it been a bit of an adventure, a bit of a twist and turn that you weren't expecting? But by the Douro River, how fantastic. Tell us more if you can, if you've got the energy, Claire and Steve. Will Thompson, good morning from the edge of insanity. Cool and cloudy here. Is that the literal translation of your village, Will Thompson? And the edge of insanity there in central Portugal. I want your view on something, actually. We're going to be talking about how Madeira has mandated the wearing of masks in the street, not just in the shops and bars and so on, and where people are gathering inside, but mandated in the street. Will Thompson, what's your view on that? And as you may remember, Thompson Tuesdays, where at the beginning of the pandemic, Will was our authority, and he was ahead of the curve. He was ahead of flattening that curve in his own way, and he may come back. And he's also going to be fixing us up, fingers crossed, with somebody who's actually had the disease, who has suffered and struggled from having COVID-19 diagnosis. And we may well be speaking to them, because I, as yet, haven't spoken to anybody firsthand to find out what the dread disease is like from a personal point of view. Paul Williams, hello, bon dia from us in the Ardennes, with a high here of 23 degrees for us to look forward to, or currently, Paul? I'm guessing that's the current. Oh no, in the Ardennes, yeah, maybe a bit further north, aren't you? So that's your high today, but that's still very, very pleasant, isn't it? T-shirt weather there, Paul. And Wayne Barker, how's it going, Wayne? Enjoying your trip? Hola, bon dia, from a misty Porta de Mos. Is it a trip, or are you here now? I forget. I don't know if you're still on your sort of intermediate toing and froing, as people do, or you have now officially made your home. And in fact, you may think it's none of my business and not information you wish to share on a Facebook live stream. So feel free not to. But it's always good to keep an eye on you. I don't know why I said that. It just seemed like a funny thing to say to you, as someone who I feel like I know a little bit better than most. Not really a fan of masks outside. It's hard enough getting people to do it for 20 minutes inside. Absolutely. Let's take a quick look at that now then. Madeira, I'll share this on the screen with you. We'll chop and change what we're looking at here. I want to talk to you as well about the Novo Banco absolute scandal that's going on. Who wins in life? Appears to be the bankers, doesn't it? And here's a story. Okay, well, I'll tell you about that a little bit later on. Some fine reporting from the Portugal resident. But for the time being, Madeira offers face mask wearing as mandatory. Sorry, orders, not offers. There's no offer in it. It's an order. Madeira orders face masks to be worn in the street. Madeira has become the first Portuguese region to order the wearing of face masks in the street, an island on which there are currently only 8 cases of COVID-19 and on which there have been no deaths from the virus. The measure comes into force on Saturday, August the 1st. There's something to look forward to with the new month. Explain reports is part of a package of new restrictions announced by the regional government, which is anticipating the return to school in September. Okay, so perhaps this is the thinking to get everybody comfortable with that. Natasha Don reporting here. And the move could also be connected to a rally event being staged on the island over the weekend. Okay, so speculation there as to why it would seem Madeira has had a total of 105 cases since the start of the pandemic, 97 of which have been pronounced recovered. So doing pretty well, really, right? It would appear, unlike the majority of Portugal's mainland areas, Madeira is still operating under a state of calamity. So why would that be with those figures? Anyone arriving in Madeira by plane has already to be in possession of a negative test for the virus. Passengers are then given temperature checks and have to provide island authorities there, and then with all their personal contact details for presumably their form of track and trace in Madeira. What's going on there then? What do we think? And how are you getting on with your daily life wearing a mask around the place? And what part of the spectrum, at the risk of upsetting Will Thompson, what part of the spectrum are you on? Are you somebody who, like me, resents it but does it? Are you somebody who resents it and doesn't do it? Or are you absolutely, there's no question, this is the right thing to do, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to massively moralize on those others who don't? Or is that just my pain speaking? High of 37 degrees here in Villa de Rey. Woohoo! That's hot! Hot, I tell thee. Owen Lloyd Martin there. Good morning to you, mate. And are you going to mask debate on air? Oh, Paul, you rascal, you got me to read that out. Well, at least you didn't come in under the pseudonym of Michael Hunt to try and get me. That's going to happen. We are going to have an evening phone in, and I expect to be pranked and wound up. Okay, I'm training for it. I am training for it, and Paul's giving me a little bit of a little bit of a go at it there. So yes, no, I will not mask debate on air, Paul. Very good. Parabéns, Julie from Jeannie in Belgium. Isn't this wonderful? Parabéns para você nesta data, querida. Oh, hold on. That's not that's not a translation of happy birthday. There's no way I can read that out without making a massive fool of myself. And more than usual. So, but that's lovely to see that greetings are coming from one part of the community of Good Morning Portugal in Belgium to Fundao with love. And catching love from us all on its way to Fundao. Masked up, of course, and Stop it, Gary. Appropriately social distance. I am not reading that out. You'll have to look in the comments yourself for that bit of gibbery going on in the comments at the moment. That's very good, fellas. Claire's said, can you imagine what it's going to be like when we do Good Evening Portugal and people are going to have a couple of Sagres minis or a glass of their favorite wine? The comments and opinions are going to be freely flowing, are they not? So I think I'm going to start that in a week or two, maybe sooner. I can't wait. And I know I'll be thinking, why on earth did I do this soon into it? But that's the curve. That's a different kind of curve that will flatten, I'm sure. Claire's sending you some pics, says Steve. We went to Porto yesterday with a motorhome problem. Oh, that's horrible when that happens. We were informed that the company wouldn't look at it till September. That seems pretty standard. When our Mazda Bongo broke down in San Martino de Porto, they took it away and couldn't get any news on it for weeks on end. But we were stuck in San Martino de Porto at the expense of the RAC, so it wasn't such a big deal. Not very helpful at all. So we decided out of protest not to stay in Porto and start on our route back to Blighty. To get it sorted. It's under warranty. So under a time constraint. Oh, that's a spanner in the works. Pardon my mechanical pun there. We will be straight back and our defo back on our lockdown site in Lule for Christmas. Oh, how lovely. And New Year. So quite a shock that this will be our last day in Portugal for a cliffhanger. I'm hiding behind your comment there, but I'm suspecting that's for a while. And I will put it on the screen, but I will not be reading that out. A bit like the ambassador, the last ambassador of the UK, who was a real sport and read out one of my comments or questions. She didn't answer it. I did ask her on one of their live Q&As that when Brexit was finished, and I've got the recording somewhere. It's brilliant. She's wonderful. And she was the one before, the incumbent. But she said, Carl says here, when Brexit is completed, will the Daily Mail still be on sale in the Algarve? And if not, how will we find out the truth of what's going on? And she read it and giggled, but didn't answer it. So we'll have to figure that out for ourselves, won't we? Very good, though, Gary. I'm sure there's more where that came from. Quick look now. I want to tell you about this town I live in. When I first drove through here, Anadia, as I say, in the district of Aveiro, we're looking at a Flickr account now, possibly the municipal account of Anadia's photos. Apologies to the podcast listeners. I will endeavor to do my best to articulate for you the pictures and bring them off the page and into your minds. These are pictures by Vitor Oliveira, and they start, of course, with pictures of Korea, which Anadia, as what would it be, a municipality? It's an area. It's a camera district that does include Korea down the road where we used to live. And there's beautiful Korea with its wonderful, supposed to be the biggest man-made lake in the Iberian Peninsula, like a pleasure lake. That lake there is full of carp. Take Polish people there, as I have done, or one Polish person, and they get very excited when they see carp, And there is the Buvette de Korea. There's a casino up there. It used to be a casino. And there are some rather unflattering pictures of the stagnant waters of the Parque das Termas de Korea. But we have spent many a wonderful hour picnicking or going to the cafe in there. And there is a wonderful picture of one of the first things I saw in this area as I drove down the avenue from the station end into Korea. There is the magnificent Palace Hotel, which the great news is, I feared it might never open again, but it is opening on the 1st of August for business once more, which is great news. And the Parque das Termas, I think, is going to follow soon as well. So 2 magnificent hotels in Korea. But we're talking about Anadia. But Korea would, of course, be claimed by its bigger sibling town, Anadia, where we now live. There's a picture of the Camera and pictures of the vineyards. We are in the Bairrada region here of amazing wine production that I do banging on about Bairrada. whenever I get the chance. And there's some views of it. Now, when I first came to Anadia, I thought, this is strange. This is not the sort of picturesque and beautiful Portugal I know and love and where I want to be. This is like a suburban town modeled on modern suburban towns of North America. But there you see, it does have its charms as well. There is the one of the avenues. I believe that's the Avenida Abril 25, the Millionaires' Row of Anadia, it has to be said. And there, the view of the mountains over in the distance, and you can see the Busaco Palace there. I am gesticulating towards the Busaco Palace, which you must visit when you come to this part of the world, to central Portugal. To the left there, I think that's the Mercado, which I don't think that exists anymore. I haven't seen that if it does. So there's a pleasure for me to behold, or it's been knocked down and I'll never see it again. But I've not found that. But we are in walking distance of a market. There's a town square where on occasion we have had a little picnic. There are those funny British people having a picnic in a non-picnicking area, as in, generally speaking, the Parque das Merendas is where you have a picnic, right, as Portuguese people. And I think it's a little bit odd to be busting out a picnic on a park bench that's not in a picnicking area. Also, it would seem from some of the funny looks that we have. Although I suppose we are an odd-looking bunch by local standards. And there on the side, the last picture I'm sharing with you outside the courthouse is the fantastic depiction of King Solomon, of the King Solomon story, where he orders a baby to be chopped in half, which of course doesn't happen. I am gonna do a spoiler on that story because I don't want you to be thinking about that, and I want you to know it has a happy ending. But it's beautifully depicted, and of course, one of our children is called Solomon, which is nice. So it's great to be here. I just didn't think we would end up in this town. I was quite underwhelmed when I first came here, and it's just really grown on me. I think it's so interesting. It's the reason I share all of this is because it's to do with the explorer journey of where you think you're going to end up and what you think you want, and then ultimately what you need to live a fantastic daily life here in Portugal. And where we are, we're just on the edge of town. I'm looking out the window now, and you might have seen this on the starter screen, but there's vineyards in the valley outside, just on the edge of town. Come out, walk to town, choice of supermarkets, walk into town, amble about. I cycled in yesterday, got a plumbing fitting from a really old school, tool shop where the guy spoke a little bit of English. My favorite scenario where I'm allowed to speak Portuguese, but I will be rescued by somebody who speaks a little bit of English, which was fantastic. And Anadia has everything. So it's got the camera for all your official business. It's got all the utilities and shops and stuff. It's got a Chinese shop. Mrs. M said that. Oh, it's so great. We can walk to a Chinese shop. I'm thinking, what? But she's got a point. If you do need a widget or a widget, a wongler, or whatever you need, you're going to find it in one of the distant and dark corners of a Chinese shop, aren't you? So I think we've got everything here. Theatre, cinema, market we can walk to. Fantastic. So didn't see that coming, but here we are in Anadia. Right, Valerie is here. Act sensible, everyone. Valerie's here this morning, and we'll put Valerie's comment on the screen. I don't like wearing a mask particularly, but I do because it isn't that a big deal. Yeah, it's uncomfortable, but I wear it to hopefully protect myself, but more to protect others. Yeah, this is the thinking behind it, of course, and that's why I do it, even though I am quietly resentful behind it. But you can't see that because it's covering my face. I obviously deal with a load of people coming from all over, so for the sake of myself and others, wearing a mask is now part of my daily life. I have many vulnerable clients and friends, so yep, great. I don't want to be responsible for putting them at risk. So for me, it is more about respect and consideration for others. Yes, I get it. I get it. Absolutely get it, Valerie. And there is a rich debate to be had in some of the detail of that. And I will definitely be diving deeper into that along with others who, as I say, may have had a glass of wine or two. So it could get interesting. Much to your surprise, I think I only moralize about wearing masks in enclosed space. See, Gary and I have already been talking. I only moralize about wearing masks in enclosed spaces like shops, bars, etc. It must be practically impossible to ride your bike with your mask on. I try not to. I do virtue signal by when I come out the shop, I just pull it down onto my chin and neck, put my cycling helmet on, and then I can be seen as a good person as I go about the rest of my business. But I have forgotten, yeah. And when I'm out of breath, because of my age and condition. Like I was saying yesterday, I don't know if you saw that clip. I was in Pingados yesterday and I had cycled there. So I was a little bit out of puff and I was walking around. And supermarkets are sometimes stressful places that cause you to be short of breath, right? They do me. Some fellas might be able to sympathize with that. Then I'm wearing a mask, and then some screeching jazz comes on the music on the supermarket, and I find myself in a hellish scenario, not of my own making, and I had to get the hell out, but not until I, of course, recorded a live stream. So there you go. Lol from Ty about the Daily Fail comment. Now we've got something along those lines, kind of as well. A new news source has come my way. So we've had a look at the ordering of mandatory face masks in the street in Madeira. Nobody said much about that so far, and what that might be like and why. You know, it doesn't sound like it's in line with the accepted science, but we will see. It sounds a bit over the top, possibly, but I guess, you know, according to what Valerie was saying, maybe you can't take respect and consideration for others too far. So, you know, that's maybe what they're thinking is you wear it everywhere and then no risks are taken at all, presumably. We have had a look at the weather. I'm just doing my sort of checklist here. We've had a look at Anadia. I've introduced you to the delights of Anadia. And also, I want to go into this scandalous story of the Novo Banco situation, which, if you're not peed off already listening to the show, this should push you over the edge. So be careful. You might be spitting muesli and cornflakes in just a moment when I tell you about Novo Banco. Or you might just be cynical and jaded and old and think, well, that's just what happens in this world. What's the big deal? But first, before we go there, let me share this with you. Like I say, a new news source is on the horizon here. Not on the horizon. It is in our face. It has come. And news here from this new news source is that a company with a picture of Antonio Costa, and I won't share this with you because it's on my Facebook timeline, and I will not be sharing that sort of information with you, as well as the CIA, MI5, and all of Silicon Valley. But anyway, Antonio Costa's government has today announced a new initiative called Receipts for Receipts. Listen up, everybody. This is important, right? Now, whenever you receive a receipt from someone, you must immediately provide a signed receipt for the receipt you've received. Opposition parties and shop owners have criticized Receipts for Receipts, saying it is bureaucracy gone mad. Surely not, particularly as NIF numbers must also be included. However, Costa has pointed out that while it will inevitably lead to terrible delays in supermarkets and inconvenience for everyone, it is really fantastic news for those people who sell books of receipts, and of course for the 120 government officials overseeing the new scheme. If you want to find out more, have a look for yourself at Portugal's Spoof News in English. Okay, onward then. You kind of think, yeah, that's good. And I'm looking forward to reading more of those for you. But it does, the great thing about satirical work, of course, is it explores that line between truth and fiction. Now, could this be made up? And hopefully you would hope that it was some sort of dystopian fiction, but we are now looking, if I share this screen with you, with a Novo Banco. Actually, no, hold on. Let me just go to a few comments before we go to Novo Banco. Let me see. Could you please tell me about schools for kids in Portugal, including cost? Prakash, I can't do that right now, but I will refer you to a webinar I hosted with Expats Portugal only last week. Go check out our YouTube channel, and there is a whole hour-long webinar of questions about schooling for kids in Portugal. We don't go deeply into the costs, but it's going to depend a lot, obviously, on where you think to base yourself in Portugal. And there is a new international school opening in Lisbon, in the Park of Nations, in the Park of Nations, near where they have Web Summit, you know, the big... big auditorium there, the Park of Nations, wonderful part of Lisbon. Or PM me and I'll do what I can to help you. Valerie, thank you for joining us. I'm off out to meet clients with my mask in hand. Don't know why it's become such a big deal, frankly. Snowflakes unite or what? Yeah, I'm looking forward to Valerie's contributions. Mask it or casket? No. Oh, I've not heard that before. Wow. Mask it or you rascal, Valerie. You're just throwing that into the mix and then rushing off out to see clients. I see what you did there. Mask it or casket. Know which I prefer. Have a good day, everybody. Cheers, Valerie. Thanks very much for showing up today. Look forward to more of your company. It's a Portuguese spoof site regarding the receipts. It ain't real. What? No, say it isn't so. Have a good day, Valerie, from Joe. Yes, thanks, Valerie, for popping in. We'll see you again soon, I hope. Right, Novo Banco. Let's share this on the screen, and this will blow your mind. It did mine about what's going on with this. I don't know if, like me, this probably has a lot to do with your place, your trajectory as an expat, settler, immigrant in Portugal. It's all very honeymoony still for me, and I don't like to think of this country being in any way errant or having problems of this kind that I'm about to share with you. But the scales do fall from your eyes eventually, don't they? Novo Banco back in spotlight for suspected dirty dealing. Natasha Don, the story from today, actually published today. Novo Banco, the bank, this is from the Portugal Resident, our favorite paper, may be being challenged by the spoof news now. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. But I thought it was hilarious. So thank you to Spoof News in English. But this is a serious paper now, the Portugal Resident, with a serious story. Novo Banco, the bank costing Portuguese taxpayers a small fortune, which will include you now as an expat who is paying their tax here, if indeed that is what you do. I will not be asking such questions personally. It is back in the spotlight this week for suspicions of distinctly dirty dealing. Publico broke the story yesterday, Tuesday, claiming the bank sold 13,000 properties for a fraction of their value in 2018. Well, it's going back a couple of years now, to an anonymous fund of investors based in the Cayman Islands who appear to have had no money. Oh, okay. So that's a bit suspicious then already. The way the deal worked seems to be that Novo Banco lent the investors the money they needed to purchase, the bargain basement assets, and then requested compensation for the subsequent losses. Gets worse, from the resolution fund, the mechanism devised to recapitalize Novo Banco, made up of the country's banks. Bankers are quite shameless, aren't they? Maybe that's just part of the job description. Millions were involved. The properties were valued at 631 million euros, says Publico, but sold for only 364 million euros. Novo Banco then requested compensation for the losses from the resolution fund. I hope you're keeping up with this, of 260 million euros. This is where the situation gets more murky. The resolution fund is, and always has been, technically broke. Thus, it gets its money from the Portuguese state, which, of course, gets its money from everyday taxpayers. The calamitous background of Novo Banco, its sale to American vulture fund Lone Star, that has already cost the country over 3 billion euros, and the number of people whose life savings have been plundered by various controversial decisions along the way is well documented. These new revelations, however, put a whole new perspective on the situation. Political parties are baying for blood. President of the Republic, Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa, says it's high time the Portuguese people were told what has been going on, and Prime Minister Antonio Costa has written to the Attorney General's office to ask for the suspension of the sale of any further assets before the completion of an independent audit of the bank by accounting giant Deloitte, which is due any day now. Mr. Costa's letter followed allegations made by PSD leader Rui Rio, that's a great name, isn't it, in last week's State of the Nation debate, in which Mr. Rio cast suspicions on losses registered in the sale of properties by Novo Banco, saying there was already enough information for the public ministry to look into the minutiae of the sale of the bank to Lone Star in the first place. A sale described at the time and ever since as ruinous. So you get the gist there, okay? This is a disgrace, is it not? And this is all that I think people possibly around the world are peeved about, as we see the plundering of the, let's call it the collective cash in the world, making its way from the mass of people to the minority of people. You know, what is it? There are shocking statistics on how a tiny number of people own most of the world's wealth. Now, good luck to them. I don't see myself as a jealous person of anyone else's wealth or rich lifestyle. Good luck to you. Good luck to them. for people who like and enjoy money and making money and spending money, etc. But this to me is part of a rancid system whereby the mechanism seems to be that money moves from the bottom, if you like, from ground level, from where it might be useful to everyday people who don't really want that much, I don't suppose, and it gets hoarded at the top of this pyramid system of money, which of course it is. People look down on pyramid systems, don't they, with network marketing and so on. But our financial system is exactly that, where money is almost hoovered from the bottom levels. And I think that what lies at the center of this, and I'm very happy to be proved wrong, as usual. But this is about foreclosures on houses, isn't it? And the property portfolio where people couldn't pay their mortgages, who were probably in quite sort of marginal situations, bad luck, you could call it, as well as bad management. We're responsible for our finances. But it does seem pretty disgraceful and disgusting that people who've lost their homes for whatever reason, because it's nice to have a home, are then the subject of people who've probably got quite a few homes and are just hoovering money towards the Cayman Islands, in cahoots with a government and taxpayer funded, and no doubt EU funded system of recovery. So of course that's why no wonder people are cynical about what might happen with the money that's coming as part of the EU package, the pandemic recovery package, due to Portugal soon. And I suspect the very same thing happens unless we have a change in our banking and monetary system, and possibly political system. Where we did get feedback about the show becoming political. In fact, we had very interesting feedback that the show was only ever talking about dogs, banging on about dogs, tree hugging, environmental things, and getting a bit political. I think I've only done a couple of dog stories, and because I'm not on that bandwagon of in terms of animal welfare. Sorry, that sounds like I'm trivializing a bit. There is an issue there, but I don't. I have a mixed view about it. And I don't talk about, the point is I don't talk about it very much here on the live stream, but I'm happy to if someone brings it up and if there's an article or an event of specific interest. And tree hugging, yes, guilty as charged. As you can see from the green screen here, this is the Happy Homesteaders, home of the Happy Homesteaders. And that's the vibe that I would like to encourage, but I don't do as much of it as I'd like to. And political, I don't think we can't be political, especially in the times we're living in. I think it's very difficult to be apolitical in these times. You can try to be, but I think it's almost like, to me, every act we do, every time we spend money or interact with other people or share a view, it is political in some way. But I understand what people are saying. Let's have a look at some of your comments about me sharing that. Let's have a look. Lots of wonderful comments. Let me see. I'm lost in the amount of excellent comments we have. If you're not offended by strong language, I'd recommend Jonathan Pye's video on wearing masks. Yes, he has a very simple message for people, does he not, Ty? Wear the mask. The clue is in the group title, Spoof Portugal. Right, final word for the day. I'm off. See you, Valerie. Thanks for your help yesterday. Much appreciated. Who was that? I don't know. Oh, I see. Here we go. That's Paul. That's fantastic to hear that there is a reaching out within the community. Fantastic. It's greed, pure and simple. Money can't buy happiness. That's Wayne responding to the Novo Banco situation. But what are we going to do about that, at grassroots, at ground level, for everyday people who I predict a SH1T storm is heading their way as the economic effects of the pandemic take root. This takes a while to filter through, but some of the signs are already there. Some shops aren't going to reopen. It's going to really change what we love about Portugal. And I think it's no good to say, we don't do politics, or to not address it in some, well, you do what you like, but if we don't address this, as on a community level, I don't think the mummy and daddy figures of government, etc., in the EU are actually going to help us out, because we've never seen that before, have we? You don't see it filtering through to the local community level, and that's what I believe people need to do for themselves. Boaz, well, seems like one-way wealth is being redistributed. As being redistributed is when billionaires' ex-wives give everything back, like the ex of Jeff Bezos giving all she got in her settlement back to charity, 25% of Amazon shares. Oh, I see. So a clever little deal was struck there then, by the sound of it, Boaz. Bon dia, Carl. Thanks, Boaz, and good morning to you, mate. Bon dia, Carl. Wouldn't be surprised to see shady bank deals here. Too much smiling going on at banks. Quite unusual. Portuguese are nice, but they are not forever smiling. Oh, I see. So the smiling in the banks kind of masks, pardon the pun, something other going on. Like we're okay, Jack. Here, we're all right, Jack, in the banking system. I think women should rule the world, and it's wealth. I think there'll be support for your idea there, depending on which one, of course. Dare I say, Margaret Thatcher, and the like of the archetype of Margaret Thatcher is not a way I would like to see the world ruled. And I'm just chucking that little incendiary mention of Margaret Thatcher into the mix this morning. And again, better suited to our forthcoming evening phone in. The personal is political. Absolutely, Boaz. That's what I was trying to say in my really long-winded way. And there you are, doing it in 4 words. The personal is political. Yeah. Listening to you while shelling beans. Life is good. Maria has got it right, has she not? You can't eat money, but you can eat beans, and life is good. And I don't mean this. The reason I talk about this stuff is not to pee on anyone's chips or make people unhappy or negative. It's merely from the point of view of like, come on, guys. Maria's right. Life is good. And in many ways, we can attend to some of the things that make it less good, right? If you see what I mean. So absolutely with you, Maria. That is my fundamental overwhelming belief and modus operandi that life is good. You got to believe that, haven't you? Otherwise, goodness, where would we be? Very depressed, I suspect. And the picture of you there that I'm conjuring up in my mind of you shelling beans whilst I'm banging on about politics is a rather good one. And we have to get that balance right. So absolutely, happy homesteaders taking a little bit of an interest in politics. And basically, I think, growing vegetables is a deeply political act. Sharing those vegetables with your local community is a deeply political act. Organizing yourselves as a community to grow what the community needs and respond to situations like the pandemic as a community, deeply political, and the way forward. And we've got that system here in Portugal. Thanks, Maria. Put your money under the bed or buy gold. Right, we know where Pete's money is. If we need any. Yeah, but you can't eat gold. I've never understood this, Pete. I know that gold is a way of not losing money, but it's not a sort of positive and proactive thing because you can't eat it, can you? But I guess it's a way of storing wealth that's more efficient and reliable than money that's subject to inflation and having to wheel around banknotes in a wheelbarrow. I think, thanks for that, though, Pete. I think you welcome political comment from all quarters, don't you? Absolutely right. I do. The angle for me, Gary, is that I have opinions, and I'm not going to pretend like the ridiculous journalists who pretend not to have a view or kind of shut down their views whilst supposedly having an all-round balanced debate. Typical BBC style of recent times. I mean, there were chair people, I think, back in the day. I could think of some old dinosaur broadcasters who were very good at sort of taking an objective position in the middle of a panel, and a panel of views represented from a few corners of the political. Can you have corners of a political spectrum? But you see what I mean, along the political spectrum. I don't have any such pretensions. I have views that I'm happy to share. You ask me my view, I'll tell you. And some of my views are pretty awful and rubbish, and some of them I'd like to think are pretty good. And I'll share them. And I'm interested in hearing other people's views as well. And I'm committed, deeply committed, more than I am to my own views. I'm deeply committed to us having respectful, legal, and appropriate discussion and conversation that illuminates us and unites us ultimately as an aim, rather than divides us and just causes trouble. That is the backbone of what I'm going to be doing in the evenings, is showing that we're still capable of having a respectful debate, even though we might not agree with each other. The great problem I see around the world at the moment is that people seem to think the idea is winning or dominating or being right, and that charged with horrendous levels of emotion. Where's that going to go? That's going to be people having their heads chopped off again, like the French Revolution. We could see what happened there. Off to close on our land. Have a great day, everyone. Boa sorte, Wayne. Have a great day, mate. That sounds like a really good day. Fingers crossed, and all the best to you. Great. Have a great day. Hopefully, Espumante is ready. Chilled Espumante is ready to celebrate your successful purchase. So all the best to you, mate. And probably best not to talk about Maggie. I will probably go into overdrive. Bring it on, but not right now. And everyone with half a brain cell has their own view. Of course, Joe, we all have our own view, don't we? And the art, I think, is in us being able to respectfully talk to each other, which seems to be a diminishing capability among people, right? It's like who shouts loudest, or who's got the best slogan, or, as I've made mention earlier on, the people best able to moralize and dominate others with their virtue signaling and this is right. Like, for example, saying something like, this is right because it's, you know, because it's backed by the science I've found. And if you don't agree with me, you're a bad person. I don't really want to talk to people like that. I find myself doing it quite a lot, but I don't really want to talk to people who have that basis. And in that situation, I see it's my duty to educate them into what they're doing to me rather than win the argument, if you see what I mean. And I think Gary knows exactly who I'm talking about, the dinosaur. That is exactly who I was thinking about, Robin Day. You don't fancy a spotted dicky bow, unless, of course, he was talking about something entirely different there. Gary, I assume you're talking about Robin Day, but that comment could be interpreted many ways, some of which are rather unsavory, sir. But I will take it in the spirit in which I thought it was intended, and I will leave you there for today on that dicky bow bombshell. Have a great day. Te já, até amanhã, até breve, até próxima. I saw another one last night. One of the many ways of saying goodbye in Portuguese. I'll simply say ciao for now. Abraços, beijinhos. Ciao, 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 ciao. Te já, te já, te já.